to make sure that give you a little bit of background what Egungun means. Egungun means bone. And so Egungun represents bone. And bone is the bone of what? Our ancestors. That's what it is. And so the bone is a lump of the pounded yam. The cob is the bone of the maize. To speak so after verification is the bone of truthfulness. It says the truth, the travel of the broad of the narrow path, the wicked, the travel of the broad path. To whomever so is truthful will have the support of God. So today is the beauty of being connected to our ancestors and connected to their bones. There's nothing the only thing that's going to happen here today is if people have any kind of trepidation about what's going to happen here, please, I want you to realize it is all in the spirit of the ancestors, all in the spirit of lifting up our ancestors. We say, Eje agba shawala ruge. Eje agba shawala ruge. Try that. Eje agba shawala ruge. Eje agba shawala ruge. Eje agba shawala ruge means that we push up our ancestors. We push up in support of those whom we come from. Like I said, my outfit, my beads, the checkering, the candles, the walls, the ceiling, the light, all have been created by someone else, and most of them have been created by our ancestors. And all of those things that we enjoy in our lives is because our ancestors were here. And they left it. The religion, the language, the music, the songs, the happiness that we have is the same type of happiness that they existed with. And so really when we give praise, it's always in the beginning of the year, we want to make sure before we praise any other deity, we say, Asheshe laibo kawa to Orisha, Asheshe laibo kawa to Orisha. It says that we will worship our ancestors before we worship any other divinity. And that's very, very, very important for us to realize that as we go on and we give celebrations or anything maybe for a spirit, maybe for a saint, or anything that you may, a Fulta, Orisha, Aare, Voodoo, Kisi, Benikisi, whatever, it's ancestors first. Because we know that my first and my real God is my mother. That's my real God. And that I came to that vortex and that my father gave life, spark to the energy that my mother had inside of her. And those things that became me is because of that spark, that life, that force, that generation of things that just begin to multiply. And I began to begin bigger and bigger. So right now I'm the biggest person in the room. Giant! Right? That's right. One time I was just something real small, couldn't see me. Now you see how far I've come. And it's because of my ancestors. And you are your side because of your ancestors. And you're beautiful because of your ancestors. Right? You all look so wonderful in so many different shades and colors and rays in your eyes and body shapes, and all of these things is because we've been given that. And so I'll just go on and talking the same thing and over, how wonderful it is. So ancestors in the Yoruba perspectives, we call our Egungun Egu. It's an abbreviation for Egungun, Egu. And there are various types of Egungun. There's Egun for the warriors. There's Egun for the Oshun priestesses, Shango priestess. Even though there are two main Orisha, and so the Orishas are the gods of Africa, of the Yoruba people, and there's one called Oya. Say it. Oya. And the other one is Shango. Shango. The Orisha Oya is considered to be the mother of nine, and there's a nickname we call her Inyansa. Inyansa. Inyansa means she's the mother of the nine, and the ninth child that she had was the combination of all the children, and he was called Egungun, and his father was Shango, and he is called Obaegu. So when you find out about Shango, you'll find that Shango has a very, very close relationship to the ancestors. And also you will find that fire also will help to deem to invoke and to be able to also dispel negative ancestors or negative forces, period. So that's one of the things that you want to be very clear. So when we tell the story about Egun, they say that Egun was in heaven. When he was in heaven, he was there with his big brother Oro. And they went and they came down and they wanted to come from heaven to earth. So they went to the divine and asked, could they take this trip and this travel? And they said, yeah, you can go. So he said, but they needed to do sacrifice. And so they did whatever was sacrifices before they needed to come. And they came. But before he went, he said, I'm going to go before you, brother. Egungun said, and I'm going to find out how it is. So you don't have to worry. I'll just go and see how everything is. And he came before his big brother, Oro. And Oro was in heaven waiting to be called to come down and say, yeah, the people are nice. Come, enjoy. And he's going to get a big brother. So, he went and he said that he was here. And when he came, he had all this beautiful colored clothes. Because Egungun wears many different colors. And so he wore all these wonderful clothes and he came down and he went and he saw the people and the people were so intrigued by him. Like, here's this outer space creature with all these colors and all these wonderful things. And the kids heard him and they started praising him and singing and loving on Egun. And they gathered and they rounded around and he was spinning and dancing and jumping and upside down and he got so and they started feeding, giving foods and he was eating and enjoying. And Oro was in heaven going like, I don't gotta watch, but where is he? Like here he is. And so the time had gone on. After the time had gone on for a while, Oro came down. Oro was not as sophisticated, so we say, as Egungun. Oro doesn't wear clothes. He don't care. And he came out and he was, he had a piece of string that carried his thing around his leg and he's walking out and people was afraid. And he said, brother, what happened to you? He said, oh, I forgot, Oro. And he went and he lunged at him. And they said Egungun rushed into the house. And it was from that point on that the story of Obey Wayne, which says, we look over our shoulder and we look back. So Obey Wayne tells us that we look over our shoulder to look back because something is gaining on us. Something is coming to us. Something is being able to invite us, to uplift us. And so this Odu tells us the story of how they came and how Egun became a force, the deity which goes inside and lives inside the house. Most people think ancestral worship is at night. Not true. Ancestral worship mainly happens during the day. Initiation to ancestors may be at night, but the worship of ancestors is during the day. Because why? We want our ancestors to be here with us in love. And those are our loved ones, for God's sakes. We want them to be with us, right? We want our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers. We want our fathers and our sisters who were our big sisters. Now, that's another thing I want to let you know. That if you have a sister and she was a younger sister or a younger brother, and you say, yeah, they were my ancestor. No, they're not your ancestors. So let's be real clear about who is an ancestor. Because we're talking about this. Who is an ancestor? Well, help me. I don't know.
A generation older.
A generation older is an ancestor. What else is an ancestor? I gave you a little hint. Any older person in your lineage is your ancestor. Your little cousin that got hit by the car when he was 13 and he was little cousin and you were older cousin, he's not your ancestor. It's very important for, however, they have a classification of ancestors. There are heroines, heroes and heroines. Those are our collective ancestors. So when we look at people like Che, when we look at people like Castro, we look at, I just love Cuba. So you look at, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Those are called heroines and heroes and heroines. for our Matt Turner, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, whoever they're going to be, whoever we're going to call, in terms of our ancestors. Those become part of the collective ancestors. So the Taino Indians, when we started grouping some of our ancestors in groupings, so we may call our Tainos, we may call our Cherokee, we may call the Maikwe, we might call the Iroquois, we may call the Mohegans, like us, like I'm a dying breed, last of the Mohegans. So all of those things are ancestors, the ancestors, and so there's a song that we like to sing. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for our mother. It was good for our mother. It was good for our mother. It's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for our fathers. It was good for our fathers. It was good for our fathers. It's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. Give me that African tradition. Give me that African tradition. Give me that African tradition. It's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. It survived the Middle Passage. It survived the Middle Passage. It survived the Middle Passage. It's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. It's good enough for me. Oh, give yourselves a hand. What ends up happening right there, you now take a minute just to close your eyes. Oh, even the music got it. Came right on time. So you feel that little bit of vibration that goes on. You can feel it moving through your heart. It's moving through your body. It's awakening your DNA. You can feel the vibration of your ancestors waking up. So all their memories are inside. Your being is all the culmination of many, many ancestors. So part of what we're going to do today is going to pour a libation. And pour a libation is giving offerings. As we here, we have different colors of candles. And you're invited to all stand up because we're going to be here looking here about the ancestral setup that we have here. It's a small setup. Sometimes it can be very elaborate with lots of foods and lots of different things. And so what I'm going to do, just for the sake of realizing and recognizing, I want everyone to really give the lady and owner of this place that we're coming here today, Sano. She has offered and welcomed us here with open arms, and we're very, very happy. It's God calling, don't worry. Even God likes her. So what ends up happening, we want you all to realize that we are visitors. And so, you're gonna please make sure, I usually like to put names on waters because people, then I can find out who left their water somewhere. So make sure that if you take something, you're going to use it and find it to the receptacle, the garbage can. There's summer room. It's a summer room. It's some for men, some for women. We will use it together. It is right there for those who do not know. So we will also, so please, at some point in time, we have wonderful food for you to enjoy and to feast. with the ancestors, but we definitely want to keep her place in good working order so that she can definitely continue to do her work. And also, I encourage you all to come here and support her business, as she's an acupuncturist, herbalist, and just a nice person. So we try to rise up. And then the other thing is that I do want to recognize and let you know that today is specifically whose Egungun we're going to be bringing out. It is this is Ifakunle, Andre recently just went to Africa, made his pilgrimage to Africa, and can tell you that after going to Africa, you become a man. You become somebody that you didn't, because while you're here, not that you can't become a man in America. It's not that. But when you go, once you have traveled, Malcolm X said that once you've traveled, your scope is broadened. And the scope of your vision changes. I went to Africa in 1989 for one of my trips. And I saw a bunch of people who were doctors. Dr. So-and-so at Pega, Dr. this one, and that. They had all these letters behind their name. And it was this little quirky guy, little chubby guy, fat, and I think he was a little not really all there. And they all were having a conversation, and he interjected. And all the doctors and everybody stopped. And he listened to him very attentively. And I said, why did I listen to this crazy guy? But he made sense. What he said made sense, and he listened to him. And I wondered from that point on, the biases. Sometimes we create biases and have biases. I don't like the way you got no shoes. You rubbing your lip all the time. There's biases that we just sometimes have weight. And in Africa, I didn't see that. I saw a different type of things that go on, but the bias for the general sense of humanity. He's a human being, for God's sakes. And they stopped to do what they were doing, to listen and to observe and to take in what he was saying. It was a lesson for me. I don't know if it's a lesson for you, but it was a lesson for me. How you develop. It's some of those things you may think and take for granted. That we take for granted we have light every day in Africa. There was not one day that I had light. Not one day. Not one day. I was there for 3 weeks. Not one day was the light on for an hour. The light came on for 20 minutes and I said, oh, we got lights. Yeah. Everybody was trying to plug in their phones, because it's mainly generated, there was an outhouse. I said, I want to use the toilet. Toilet? Okay, take toilet. Okay. And there was a lean piece of aluminum shed that was leaning against a piece of stick. He said, yeah, bathroom. I said, bathroom? He said, yeah, go. I said, no, I can. No, I stay here, make sure a snake doesn't come. Snake? What? This is the things that we just take for granted. I was there, I went to another place, and I went to use the hole. It was a hole. And I was like, where's the bathroom? There it is. It's a hole with a grate in it. So I went over the grate, and a scorpion came out. I was like, you grow up. You have to survive this. There's all of these things that you begin to learn. So, when we think about our ancestors, they came from a really rough place. Some of our ancestors had to endure unspeakable hardships, unspeakable thing. And for us to go back, and for him to have gone back at such a young age, and he could reclaim his, once you go and you've traveled back to Africa, if you want to claim Africa, and if you don't want to claim Africa, I can understand why too. But if you claim anything that is relative, because every human being in the planet Earth is also an African. I want to let you know. Just in case you don't know, every human being in the world is an African. And so they went and they, Chinese people tried to determine if they weren't Africans. They were a separate, independent people outside. They found out, the top geneticists found out they're African. It's the people in Australia, no, they're not African. They got yellow hair and there's a different tribe. African. Every givers of life. So when we worship our ancestors, we're worshiping the DNA of many, many times, out of many, many different people. And maybe the DNA pool had changed because of the environment. Cold weather made their nose become smaller. Maybe the sun was too bright, their eyes became a little chinky. Right? Whatever or your skin became nice and dark because you got to endure that sun. Whatever it is. It's because of the elements and the things that you had to deal with. So it's those things. So my two godchildren have appeared